as darkness of the journey in samsara. Now we always think of three main things that are very unhelpful when we talk about Dhamma. Raga, Dvesha, Moha. Raga means the sensual lust or whatever, greed for sensual experiences. Dvesha is the dislike for things, anger, aversion. Moha is avidya. Moha means delusion, really, because we don't often see the reality in life. We go through life most of the time without thinking of the reality of life. That is avidya. Avidya is the opposite of helpful or good things. Because there are three good things we talk about: generosity, goodwill, and vidya or clear comprehension. These are called root factors. These are part of our mind, but they are root factors because they have got deep roots in our mind. That's why they are very difficult to get rid of. You know, when you start weeding, there are some plants with a root going all the way down, and you tug and you can't get rid of it. Like that, these three, especially the avidya or ignorance or delusion, is a very deep-rooted factor in our mind. We all have avidya. In fact, we have this factor till we become enlightened. We can't get rid of it till we are completely enlightened. And like a root, some roots spread all over. Now, these roots can even spread into the good side, the wholesome side also sometimes, and entangle the wholesome things. So sometimes we do good things, wholesome things, with a little bit of avidya. That is why in Abhidharma, when they classify the good thoughts or the wholesome consciousness, there are 8 of them, and 4 of them are without vidya or wisdom, because there is little bit of delusion in what we are doing. Say we are giving something to someone. If we have wisdom, we'll give it, thinking, oh, this man needs it, he will make use of it and become well and happy, and that's it. But if you have a bit of avidya, it's like giving a sort of birthday present. I hope next year when my birthday comes, you will give me a present back like that. You give something and then expect, by the power of this gift, let me be born in heaven with lot of things. That is that is what you call a wholesome deed without wisdom. So this is why this avidya can be also wholesome in sometimes. According to Buddha, the definition of avidya is not knowing the 4 noble truths. That is reality of life. First truth, that life is really suffering. There is a reason for suffering, and there is a condition where you can end the suffering. And the 4th one is that there is a way to suffering. And to this has been added 4 other things. That is, not understanding that before this life we had a past life. And also, we are going to have a future life unless we are enlightened. That means the third thing is that there is this continuity of life cycle going in a cycle. And also the mechanism why this cycle is going on, it is called dependent origination, paticca samuppada. That is the Buddha's description of the mechanism why this cycle goes on. Now when you are doing something like medicine, you learn anatomy first, how your body is made. And then you learn physiology, how these parts work. Like that, Buddha gave the anatomy first, described all the things, dividing into 5 components, things like that. And then he showed how these 5 components work to keep this life going on. That is physiology. So this dependent origination is the physiology. And this, because of this avidya or ignorance, is a very sort of hard thing to get rid of. It has been described as 5 things. As a taint or asava. Asava means that it will, but wherever it loses in, it will spoil. It's like you have some nice cake and pour some vinegar into it. No? It will spoil the cake. Asava. Then it's also described as hindrance or nivarana. It is like a curtain that is put across your eyes or your mind to prevent you understand the reality of life, things. Then it's described as anusaya. Anusaya means latent. It's like a hidden thing, and you don't know when it will leak into your thoughts. You can, with effort, you can suppress it for some time. For example, when you are doing a very good thing, you can suppress delusion, but it will come back again. Because until enlightened, we can't stop it coming back. And when you meditate and get into what are called jhana stages, you can suppress it for a long time, as long as you want to. That short suppression is called tadanga, when you are doing good thing. Jhana is called viskambana. And when you are enlightened, you have got rid of it. You have thrown away completely. That is samuccaya. And in this, I told you about dependent origination. In that description, Buddha has put avidya or ignorance as the first step in his description. I don't know whether you can remember the first step in dependent origination is avidya paccaya sankhara, which means ignorance causes mental, verbal and physical activities, causing karma. That's the first step. But it doesn't mean that that is the beginning of life, because lots of people, when they think of life, they want to know where the first cause is. It's not the first cause, because Buddha explained in one of the sutras in the Anguttara Nikaya, no one can comprehend a time when there was no ignorance in our lives. Because it is like a cycle, it's going on and on. And it arises because of other unwholesome mental factors, especially hindrances or what are called nivarana or taints, asava. I told you asava, those are the things that sort of spoil your thoughts, and they arise with them. Now in the description how things arise, there is a condition called sahajata paccaya and anyamanya paccaya. I don't want to go into these are little too complicated, which means things arise together. Normally when you say things arise, you are saying there is a seed, you plant the seed and then after some time the plant comes out. It's not like that. Here The seed and the plant come up together. That's why you can't find a first cause. Because of these other things, they all arise together. In fact, in your mind, you can't have a thought without what are called mental factors. The basic thing is your conscious, whatever thought has to have at least 7 mental factors. So this ignorance, you can't find it as a first cause. How does this ignorance cause this cycle of life or samsara to go on? Now, when you say you are alive, that means you have to be aware and conscious. When you are awake, you are conscious. Consciousness means you suffer. Every time you get a thought, you get a feeling. Suffering is feeling. You may like it, you may not like it, or you may be, it doesn't matter, indifferent to it. So you will suffer pleasant thoughts, unpleasant thoughts, or neutral thoughts. That is suffering. When you say suffering, it's not suffering, pain and things like that, because the translation of dukkha has been a wrong translation to suffering. Suffering means what you get experiences in life with feeling. And when you get suffering, you don't realize that they are not going to be there all the time. Pleasant feeling. You have heard that your son or daughter has passed the exam, got a good job, you are very happy. How long does it last? And then you hear that he's lost his job and suffering is gone. Pleasant feeling is gone. So it's impermanent. And when things are impermanent, you suffer more. You are happy and then suddenly you find there is no happiness, and then you want to have some happy thoughts. So you keep on looking for happy thoughts. And that is how you start doing things to make yourself, life is running after what you call, as somebody said, it's running after carrots. You are looking for good things and running away from whips. Running away from bad things, running after good things. And that makes us do things, either maybe good things, bad things, and those things cause what you call karma, because we do them with intention. Maybe we might think that it is a good thing for our future life to do a good thing, like giving something or treating somebody kindness. So you are now seeking for happiness in the future. So this is how, that is, you are not using what is called vidya or wisdom. Because always you are looking for, expecting something. And that causes you to do things that are good, that are bad. And it's also fueled by what is called ditti. Ditti means the view of life. The worst thing is there is no view of life. You just keep on doing things. That is the biggest, highest degree of avidya or ignorance. Lots of people, they don't have a view of life. They just go through life and do whatever they want. Only thing, most people don't do bad things because they are scared of getting caught into legal action, or because the neighbors won't, the society won't like it, and you want to live peacefully. That is living your life with the highest degree of ignorance. Then some people think, oh, this is the only life. after death, that's it. No more life. So with that view, when you are looking for happiness, you might do a lot of things that are not very helpful, because according to Buddha, what you do now is going to give you results in the future. Lots of scientists say, oh, there is no life. Why do you want to care except for ethical reasons to live a peaceful life? But same people go and talk about what is called a butterfly effect. Have you heard of a butterfly effect? You have? Yeah? Butterfly effect is the people who deal with the weather condition says flapping of the wings of a butterfly in one part of the world can cause a storm in the other part of the world, because that can cause a turbulence that multiplies and cause lots of problems. And at the same time they say, oh, what you do doesn't matter, it won't cause anything, no karma. So that is ignorance. If you don't know what is, you say there is nothing, is ignorance. So Ditti makes it worse. There are some people who believe this is the life and it is controlled by an outside agency. And if you behave according to the wishes of that outside agency, in your next life, you will be very happy and you will live a very peaceful life forever. And that is going to be very pleasant, very nice, and forever. The Sanskrit phrase for that is Sat Chit Anandan. Sat means permanent, Chit means soul, Anandan, very pleasant. You join with the God or Brahman or Brahma and you will be very happy. In fact, I have a very good friend who is a psychologist, psychiatrist. His name is Sachittanandan. Lots of people have that name, Sachittanandan. Permanent soul, which is going to be very happy in heaven. Now, my friend is a very devout Hindu, and he believes in this. He believes in that. In fact, he went on a trek to the beginning of the Ganges river, because they say if you go there, what is called Gangotri, it's a very difficult trip with snow and all sorts of problems. And then you have a swim in that area, in the river, then you will go to heaven. So I tell him, you are not only ignorant, you carry the name board ignorance in Sachittanandan. So that is ignorance. Some people believe there is no outside agency, but you have a permanent soul. And if you are good and get rid of all the bad karma which you have done in your previous life by doing good karma and also practicing austerity or mortification, then you will become a very happy soul in your next life. That is the basic view of Jainism. They don't believe in a God, but they believe in a soul. And they feel that if you can get rid of all the bad things you have done, results of bad things you have done, by doing good things and also practicing austerity, they'll get what is called a permanent happy soul. So that is another degree of ignorance according to Buddhism. So ignorance is not lack of intelligence or lack of learning or lack of knowledge. It is the ignorance of reality of life, which is that you have a present life, you had a past life, and unless you are enlightened and make efforts to become enlightened, you will have a future life. Life goes on in cycles. That is the reality of life. And there is nothing permanent in you, like a soul or something that goes here and here. It is just a, what you call a stream of consciousness. Vijnana sota. Stream of consciousness that continues in another body or another place when you die. So that is lack of knowledge of this reality of life is ignorance. Let me put it this way. Who is the most intelligent and the most recognized scientist in the last century? Albert Einstein. Anyone will put their hand up and say Albert Einstein. Now, Albert Einstein found so many things like relativity also, and how energy and matter are related to each other. And he got the Nobel Prize, and it was considered the most brightest scientist, intelligent man during the last century. Now we are in this century, but during the 20th century. Now Albert Einstein didn't have vidya. He had ignorance. People will laugh at me if I say Albert Einstein was ignorant. The reason is, when the American Defense Forces wanted to invent the atomic bomb, he volunteered and made possible to build the atomic bomb, which was dropped on two towns, Hiroshima and Nagasaki, as we know, and destroyed so many people. And they also made so many people with radioactive burns who suffered till they died. So that is because he did not realize that there is what is called karma, and there is life after death, and that this life goes on, and that you should not be doing bad things like that. So he had some degree of ignorance. Later on, he is supposed to have said that Buddhism is the cosmic religion that will last after the next 50 years. But lots of people say he didn't say those things. But if he said those things, then he must have developed some degree of vidya after the bomb was dropped. It's like King Asoka, whom we are thinking of today on the Poson Day. He had a war in a place called Kalinga, and he's supposed to have killed 160,000 people during the war due to ignorance, and then met a priest and who explained things, and then he got rid of this ignorance and became a Buddhist and did lot of things. And he is the first person in the whole world to start a hospital. Before King Asoka, no Greek, Roman or any country had a hospital. Patients were treated in temples or homes. Not only did he build hospitals for people, he also built hospitals for animals. And incidentally, the earliest ruins of the earliest hospital in the whole world is found in Mihintale, Sri Lanka. I think you people need to know that. So this is what is called ignorance. How do you try to get rid of this ignorance? Because we all have ignorance till we are enlightened. We can't get rid of ignorance because without our knowledge it comes forward anytime we get angry or we sort of do something if we are not using mindfulness. Now, in one of the suttas, Buddha said the way to get ignorance is to meet a good friend, Kalyana Mitra. Those days you had to listen from others because writing was not very frequent and people didn't read. And if they wanted to learn about life, they went and sat down with some religious person and listened. So he said, meeting a good friend is the first step to try to get rid of ignorance or avidya. And then you listen to him and you develop confidence in his teaching, shraddha. And then you start practicing. Start by avoiding bad things, harming others. No, don't do anything that harm others. Not only others, don't do anything that harm yourself. That is what is called virtue or sila. By doing these things, you can control this avidya to some extent. So even if you don't believe in Buddha's religion, but if you believe in some other religion, you can still do good things and keep this ignorance or avidya with some control. Then the next step is to develop mindfulness. As we said in our discussion, mindfulness is watching your own mind and your own thoughts. It's a very difficult thing. The most commonly used is to practice meditation on breathing. And you start breathing in, out, like that without your knowledge. I forgot to lock the door today. Your mind has gone away. And by the time you realize that your mind has gone away, it's a bit too late. So you have to bring it back to wash the mind again. It takes a long time, very long time. Main thing is not to get disheartened, not to get angry. Lots of people get disheartened, angry, and give up and say, I can't do meditation. You can. If you keep on, your mind will one day start by staying quiet for 2 minutes, half a minute, 1 minute, like that. And then you can keep on increasing the time. There is nothing called you can't do meditation. If you keep on meditation, you can go ahead. And with meditation, mindfulness, you start watching your own thoughts. The moment your thoughts come, you realize this is an angry thought, this is a happy thought, this is an indifferent thought, this is an ignorant thought, like that. It's difficult, but you can, after some time, you can learn to slow down the mind and identify. And then, when you identify these thoughts, then as Bhante said previously, you don't react to them immediately. You don't react. You don't own it, you disown it. This is an angry thought has come to my mind. The moment you don't own it as I am angry, then the wind has been taken off the sail. Then you have the time to think. Yoniso manasikara. You can use free will and think. It doesn't take long. You know, the thoughts, I told you, the thought process happens within quarter of a second. And then you get the other reverberations going on. And that is when the things start getting out of hand. Anger or whatever it is. And then that is when you start reacting. So before that, you can always stop halfway through and think, what should I do? Supposing you, as I told you the example, you walk on the road and identify your face, and then suddenly your brain, actually there is a thing called midbrain, an area, there it's like a sort of like a seahorse-like structure that contains most of your memory. And it will tell you that is the man who has gone and told something wrong about you to others, which is not true. That is, you have identified, and then your mind becomes angry. And if you don't think, oh, angry thought came to me, you might go and confront him and make a lot of unnecessary fuss. On the other hand, you might decide, why do I care? Cross to the other side of the road and go away. And if he's a good friend and if he didn't say things, he might cross the road and ask, why are you avoiding me? And then you can ask, did you say a thing like that quietly? And if he says, oh, that's not true, somebody must have made this story, then you forgive him and you haven't lost a friend. And if he says, I said that, you are a nasty fellow, so I said that, what can you do? So you can thank you. You have lost a friend, you can go away. So that is how Yoniso Manasikara works. That is how ignorance can be controlled. Avidya can be controlled. So this is how this having a good friend, learning from him, or reading Dhamma, or listening to Dhamma. Good friend, nowadays you have good friends in the YouTube quite a lot. You don't have to meet a friend. And then you become confident about that teaching, and then you start practicing, and then go into meditation and learn mindfulness and Yoniso Manasikara. Then the last stage is now you need to get rid of it, which is not easy. I know it, I can't do it in this lifetime. I don't know how many more lifetimes I'll have to take. But I'm trying. This is called insight meditation. Insight meditation is, you do the mindfulness, you watch your thoughts, and you think every time a thought comes, this is not going to last, this is impermanent. And because this is impermanent, it's not going to be suffering. Suffering means unsatisfactory. And also, this thought came not to me, I am not a self. It's a thought process going through my mind, and I am a process with mind and body going on. It's a very difficult thing to think like that, but if you keep on practicing, you can develop insight meditation. That is impermanence, suffering, no self. So that is the last stage where you can try to become enlightened, hopefully, maybe in the next 100 lives. Or maybe next life itself, or some people might be this life itself. They say if you properly do it, you can become enlightened in 7 days. But then you have to do it day and night, dedicate your whole life to it, which we can't do at the moment. We have too many attractions, too many bonds, so it's a very difficult thing to practice. Now, what we need to think, how many of you have heard of Gorgon? Gorgon is a family of 3 sisters. The most famous is Medusa. I am sure you must have heard of Medusa. Medusa had, all her hair was made of serpents. And if you look at the Medusa, you become a stone figure. You are turned to stone if you look at the Medusa. That's the Greek mythology. And there were three sisters. One is called, I think, Stane. The other one is called, not Athena, Stina. Not Athena, Stina. Stina and Euretia or something like that, and Medusa. Now, we must think, We are also like Medusa. We have 3 snakes in our mind. Fortunately, it won't turn others to stone, but it will turn your mind into stone the moment they wake up. So we are the Medusas with 3 snakes in our head, going on and on. I think I have been going on and on for now almost for two hours. We got 15 minutes if you want to discuss, ask questions or express your opinion about ignorance or avidya. Yes. Sankara, avidya pachya sankara. Sankara means your mental activity that causes karma. There are 3 types of sankara. One is punyabhisankara. Punyabhisankara means wholesome thoughts, good thoughts, and they will give you good results. Actually, they are also not helpful. You don't want to be born in have various lives again and again and again. But if you do punyabhisankara, you must do without any think of hoping anything other than getting rid of this cycle. Then the other one is apunyabhisankara. That is the bad, unwholesome things, and that will give you unwholesome results. It doesn't need to be the exact opposite of what exact the thing. So say supposing you kill somebody, it won't be that somebody will kill you in the next life. It might be something completely different but very unpleasant. Or somebody might blame you for killing somebody which you haven't done, and you might end up in prison. That is how karma gives results in various ways. That is apunyabhisankara. The third one, that is called anenjabhisankara, is not in this sankara, because anenjabhisankara means if you do meditation and getting into jhana, especially the 4th jhana, then your mind is very still. Anenjabhisankara. Your mind is very still and it won't vibrate for anything, good or bad. It will be very still. But results of anenjabhisankara is you will be born in one of the immaterial worlds for eons and eons and eons. And by the time you finish your credit and come back to human world, so many Buddhas might have passed away and you have missed the chance to end the cycle. So I don't think that's a very good thing to get into jhana and hope to be born in immaterial world or even the fine material world. Because life is supposed to be so long, and at the end it's like when your bank balance is gone, you have to leave the house and get onto the street. Like you come back to human world and start again. So main thing is to aim to get rid of the cycle as quickly as possible and do things with that aim. When you do things, don't hope for anything good in next life. What they say is if you do good things will come, whether you wish it or don't wish it. If you do bad things will come as result. So if you do things without hoping for any result, then it will help you to shorten the cycle. Because that means you are doing good things with vidya, not with ignorance. There is a famous story in the villages that during the Katina robe ceremony, they say that those who are given Katina robe are born in heaven as the king of the heaven. And people rush when they see the Katina Perhara coming, the procession coming down the road at 4 o'clock in the morning, they rush to go and participate, wishing to be the king of the heaven in the next life. That is prolonging the agony. That is avidya, that's the first step. Because of ignorance, you do mental activities which form karma. And one of them, as what is called the generative karma, or rebirth karma, will give rise to the next life. Sankara pacchaya vijnana, that gives the karma results, that gives the next life. And then it goes on like that. 12 steps. This is how the cycle works.
Ignorance has a direct link with the panya, right? Panya or wisdom.
That's the direct opposite of wisdom.
So, is it something we carry in our lives for the next life? How does it work? Like, for example, the wisdom we have this very life.
Yeah, if you develop your panya or wisdom with your last thought process, which is called Chuti-Chitta, all those characters will go to the next Chuti-Chitta. Otherwise, there is no progress. Now, supposing you develop into the first stage of enlightenment. And then they say there are 7, you can be born 7 times before you become fully enlightened. So if you lose that enlightened knowledge at the next birth, then there is no progress, no? So all your characters, skills, most of them, and your temperament, they are passed on from your last thought process to the next rebirth thought process.
Are they passed on in the exact same way, or is it, or can it be?
No, there is no exact same way. What happens is this thought is gone, then another thought will arise, but with the same character. It is like, think of this way, the BBC is transmitting from here signals, and somebody is watching it in India or somewhere. Yeah? It's a similar thing that you don't send anything, you just send the data, information, and you have the sort of implement to use that data. It's not a permanent soul that goes through. It is another one that arises similar to what you have. It's in the same stream. It's like, say, you go and put your hand in the Thames River, close to the sea, near London, and then go and put your hand in the Thames River, close to the sea. It's not the same water, isn't it? Yeah, but it's similar. So there is no permanent soul going with everything. It is a consciousness that carries the characteristics that arises in a new body. That is why they say it's not the same, also not new. It is related to that one, it's not the same. It's a very difficult process to understand.
What about people who pass away when they are on the operating table and being,
Anesthetized.
anesthetized?
Even,
So their thought process?
yeah, anesthetized means that your body is not responding. We don't know what happened to the thought process. No one can say what happened to that they are not reacting to the pain or anything.
Yes.
They are not speaking, they are not moving, but we don't know. Even unconscious people are like that. Still they have what is called the life continuum or bhavanga going on. People who are in a vegetative state, it's the same thing. We don't know. because no one has been able to show what the consciousness is and what type of consciousness people have. All we can say is that there are brain waves working by using what is called the EEG, and that his brain is still active. And if it is a flat line, that means he or she is dead. That means there is no consciousness. Those people who are anesthetized, unconscious.
Or even with dementia?
Dementia also, your apparatus to express has gone. Because they are doing experiments in University of Virginia about people with dementia. And they have found out that people who were not able to recognize anybody, didn't know the time of the day. Just before death, they have what is called a lucid interval.
Terminal lucidity.
Terminal lucidity. And suddenly they say, this is my son. How are you, my son?
Yes.
And within minutes he is gone. But they have that terminal lucid. That means that the apparatus, your brain and the body is not responding to the thought process to express it outside. That is dementia. The trouble is, beyond saying that it is consciousness is a product of the brain working, no one can at the moment say what it is. They give various theories, saying quantum theory and all sorts of theories.
So does it mean that a patient with dementia, on them, the 7 universal factors are not working?
They might be working, but they can't tell you whether it is working or not.
Response is not there.
That's the problem. Because their cognition process is sort of gone.
Kind of, isn't it? So they can't remember from one moment to the other.
No, because that time process is gone, cognition is gone, so they can't identify people. That doesn't mean that they don't have what's called a life continuum. They have the life continuum. Yes.
Can you explain the reason to avidya? The reason for avidya?
The reason for avidya is because reason is you have what are called hindrances and asavas. Hindrances are nivarana. Asava means taints. Avidya arises with those. That's why I said they arise together. You know, it is like now your body, units of matter arise with 4 conditions, isn't it? 4 elements, according to Abhidhamma. Or say, you can't have an atom without electron and a proton. Minimum. Like that, you can't have consciousness without mental factors. And these mental factors arise together. So ignorance arises with the other bad mental factors. And unless we are enlightened, we all have bad and good mental factors. Vidya also, the wisdom also arises with the good mental factors together.
Does it also connect to the past karmas? Like past karma?
Yeah, how your degree of your development of your consciousness depends on your past karma.
Interesting.
Yeah, well, if you have been behaving like an animal and not worried about others and doing that, then surely your consciousness will become an animal consciousness for the next birth. So like that, if you are good, I'm sure we have been born as human beings in this life. I'm sure none of us have done anything grave to be born as an animal or anything next life. We have done good things and we have developed our mind. We have not acted like animals. So don't be scared to die.
Does it mean that even during the Gandharva stage, they still carry the consciousnesses?
Gandharva stage is according to some sects of Mahayana, not Theravada, our medicine. But there is evidence in the Theravada Tripitaka that they have deliberately got rid of the Gandharva stage. Now, for example, when you recite Karniyamatta Sutra, they give various types of living beings, no?
That's right.
Tasava Tavrava no sesa Bhutava Sambhavesiva, they say. And Bhuta means those who are born. According to the commentary, Sambhavesiva means those who are to be born. And again they give another explanation. Again they say those who are waiting, whose mind is waiting to, whose consciousness is waiting to get into another. So there is no waiting, no, according to Theravada. So Sambhavesi means that somebody who is waiting to get an appropriate birth. I of course believe in intermediate stage or Antarabhava, but not everybody. For example, they say if you are going to be born in fine material world or immaterial world, then it is immediate. But if you are going to be womb born or egg born or medium born, I am sure there is a intermediate stage where the consciousness is sustained by the Tanha Upadana. Buddha says that. There is a very interesting dialogue with a person called Vachagotta. Vachagotta asked Buddha, person has died, has not been reborn in another life. What will maintain his consciousness during that interval? According to Theravada, there is no interval. Buddha would have said, Vachagotta, there is no interval. He didn't say that. He said, Vachagotta, that consciousness is sustained by the Tanha Upadana, or craving and clinging. And in fact, he asked a question. Most probably it was winter time and there was a fire in front of that. He asked, Vachagotta, can you see this fire? Yes. Can you see some of the flames going up in the sky? Yes. What does that, how does that flame get separated from the fire for a moment and exist? And he says, because of the air. Yes, it is oxygen, no? Because of the oxygen. And he similarly, Buddha says that in the intermediate stage, or in between death, Chutta, and the rebirth thing, it is sustained by, not sustained by the lust and, not lust, tanha and upadana, that means clinging and craving for life, bhavatanha. Nobody wants to die and be finished, isn't it? Even though people who do say we don't believe in any further life, but still they like to go on living, don't they? So bhavatanha is still there, unless you are enlightened. So they say it's that force that keeps your consciousness till you become reborn.
So that consciousness is sustained by the natural elements like air and things like that.
It's not a physical, consciousness is not a physical thing to be sustained.
It's not, but the consciousness.
Yeah, it's the force of clinging,
Yeah.
bhavatanha. Consciousness is due to that. It's time up, isn't it? Okay, then thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I think Bhante is giving a talk now, no? C11? Tea break, sorry. There's a tea break.